Welcome back to the 1 Minute Podcast. Today we are asking people what is a lesson in life they are currently learning or a lesson in life that they had to learn the hard way. Episode I do not know. The inspiration from today's question is, we often talk about thinking in your life in chapters. You're thinking about your life in moments, and in those chapters and in those moments, there's often lessons that we're going through or being taught, or things are happening in a certain way in our lives. And I think that I reflect on my own life right now and the lessons that life is trying to teach me. And what are some of those, and how can I be attuned? I can be aware of those. How can I implement certain changes into my life to make that work? These are all some lessons in life that I have to work through. But the question I'm asking this weekend is, what is a lesson that life is currently teaching you, or a lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
That I should pause before, okay. In between action and reaction, you actually have the time to do nothing. You don't have to react. This is a choice that you could choose not to react, or maybe you could choose to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I think it's the same lesson.
Honestly, would probably go back to thinking about kind of approaching people with more empathy and kindness, and honestly kind of seeing everyone as almost like a child, kind of really seeing them in a pure kind of way rather than seeing them with this agenda. Just approaching people with empathy, kindness, and just I think that's the biggest lesson I'm learning, and I'm learning to just how I treat my own students with care and gentleness. I should treat other people like that, because honestly so many people have so much unresolved stuff that you never know. You really just can never know a person. It's a process.
Everything in my life has always been about compete, win, and I guess kind of pursue excellence. And I guess the one thing that I've been looking at lately is, okay, in my pursuit of excellence, what do I consider to be my excellence? And I think that's the place where I am right now. Is I've raised a family, I have grandkids now, so I think life has taught me that everything you think life is going to be, it's almost better to roll with the punches and just keep getting up, keep getting after it.
I think no matter what, don't let life get in the way of the life that you want to live. I think whether it be a goal, whether it be a dream, I think regardless of these speed bumps in the road, the speed bumps teach you how to be determined. They should not be reasons why you should stop.
Definitely live in the moment. Don't take advantage of the people that you have around you. Even moments like this with my friends, I definitely value and I cherish these moments, because people come and go, life is unexpected, so I definitely appreciate these moments,
Maybe sound this might be cliche, or you hear this all the time, but YOLO.
Can you expand on it? What do you mean by
Yeah,
YOLO?
you only live once, so you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know how long you'll be here for. You'll never know what's going to happen. You could have some kind of family circumstance or personal circumstance that lets you stop doing what you want to be doing. So while you have the opportunity to do it, you just have to do it. There's no reason why you should stop to chase your dreams, because you never know what's going to happen, I feel like. So you only live once. You only live now. So you got to do what you want to do right now.
You talk about, we have this plan, or we have these goals or ideas of where we want to go, but a lot of people also talk about trying to stay present, right? Really enjoying life in the moment. What, to me, that sounds like a push and pull. How do you plan that life? Because how do we not get ahead of ourselves and think this is what I need to get to, and then maybe miss the life that we're living right now?
Sure. I think it's very important to live day by day, because you don't know if tomorrow's the last day you have or if tonight's the last day you have. But at the same time, to keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself pushed, to make sure you don't turn that into a doomer perspective, you do have to have that goal in front of you almost subconsciously, that thing that you're constantly churning in the back of your mind, while at the same time living day by day. Do I think the main priority should just be being present and being focused, meeting new people? Absolutely. But that also should not get in the way of that future progress. It is a small chunk in that step by step. To go up a flight of stairs, you're not just focusing on the fact that there's something on the top of the stairs. You have to make sure you don't trip along the way. You have to make sure that there's a step right in front of you. So both can be they're not opposites of each other. They are both means to the same end, and I think they coincide.
Then I've heard a lot of people today talk about trying to be in the moment, try to be present and
Yeah.
enjoy life. How do you see that relationship and dynamic between competing and getting after something? I'm also a former college athlete versus let's stay in the moment, let's be present. Are they symbiotic? Do they compete against each other? What are your thoughts? How have you seen that play out in your life?
I think so. I mean, I live a life of a really strong Christian faith, and so for me, I have a huge trust and faith of where I'm headed, and so living in the moment allows me to see, from my faith perspective, how much God has done to get me to where I am, and it gives me more excitement about, I guess, what's next. And so living in the moment is just enjoying what I have today until I get to that next place.
A lot of my job is socio-emotional like care. I think a lot of people think it's like, oh, they're just preschoolers, you're just like, you're playing games, playing Play-Doh, but you're just spending so much time like working with their regulation and kind of how they feel. And like, honestly, the more you work with them, the more you realize adults need that. I think adults kind of also need to go to preschool sometimes and get like a feel of how to self-regulate and do all those things.
Yeah, and what does that tell you maybe about your own emotions and what have you taken from that? Do you feel yourself becoming better as you've been teaching it as well, or?
I mean, you're never perfect at it because we all come with our own baggage. Even when you're working with children and you distance yourself, you're always coming with that kind of perspective from your own life. But I think a lot of people, it helped me deal with a lot of different people. I think it truly changed my life, like learning how to work with kids, because it just teaches you actually how to work with everyone, because everyone's kind of not in like a childish way, but more of like an inner child thing. I think everyone wears their inner child on their sleeve.
And in what ways? Like emotional ways when it comes to relationships, family, friends, work, or is it in all ways in your life? What are you thinking of when you say that in your life?
Well, I already told you I don't like people that double park. But maybe that guy that's double parking is dropping off his 86-year-old grandmother, not just waiting for convenient coffee. So before I rush to judgment, I should wait and see who gets out of the car.
I've thought about that a little bit myself. I think emotional discipline is something that I want to get better at. And I think in regards to like being able to sit with an emotion, process it, and like you say, not react. But you said it's a lesson you're learning over and over again. How do we ever learn this lesson? Is there ways we contain it? Or I might see myself as a reactionary or emotional type of person. I don't want emotions to make my decisions for me. How do you see it in your life? What is that process then of come up with a scenario that the 86-year-old is what he's helping his mother? Like, what does that process look like? Are there ways you've taught yourself, habits you've made, or how do you actually learn this lesson?
Well, I've said plenty of things I regret. Like I've made plenty of regrettable decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and said plenty of regrettable things. So I think if I pause and rather than let the first thing that's at the tip of my tongue come flying out, then then that would be. And I guess maybe the first thing you need to recognize is we're all still a work in progress, or we could choose to be a work in progress. You don't have to progress, right? You could regress. The opposite of progress is regression, so that could be a choice too.
Yeah.
So I could choose to decay, but I would prefer to think I'm choosing to improve. And I don't know who said it, but no man steps in the same river twice.
Okay, I haven't
Neither
heard
the
that
man
one.
or the river is the same.
Oh, interesting.
And so when you think about this, yeah, you could choose. Yeah, you're not a finished product.
And what does that maybe take? How do we get to that point where we're approaching people as open as you hope to do? What does that actually look like, or what are ways and reasons we don't do that?
I think people are scared of being vulnerable because it takes some form of vulnerability to realize, like, just like you have your own baggage, all these people are carrying their own baggage. And that's why the same way it's kind of like the cliche of treat people how you want to be treated kind of situation. But when you start to work with kids and you start to see the similarities of like everyone's behavior is kind of human behavior is just overall linked regardless. So it's like, it should be more of a uniting thing and less of a dividing thing.
And what does that look like? Does that look like having an end goal in mind, or is that pursuing a specific path, or what does that look like in your own life?
I think it's hard to draw. I think a dream. I think having something that you want to head towards is great and all. But I mean, a lot of their dream is just graduating college, right? And then you graduate college and you go, what the hell now? So I think you have to keep having a dream, there is no end goal. I think that's another lesson of life is that you have to keep having a goal in front of you. There is no end until you're dead. So whatever that looks like for you is whatever that looks like for you. But don't get bored. And just because you succeeded once or failed once doesn't mean you can't do the same a week from now, a month from now, a year from now.
Improve maybe emotional regulation or discipline? Because like you said, a lot of people maybe never confront these, and we have a lot of adults walking around with the inner of and I've maybe seen it myself as well. What are your thoughts around that, about people learning?
Honestly, like it's honestly a full body experience. I think a lot of the times we view emotions a little bit separately, like, oh, it's heart versus mind. Sometimes the emotions can become like a full body experience, and we should really just treat it as such. So like taking a minute, using that time to like breathe, use your body as like a tool to to zen yourself out. And honestly, like, be forgiving of yourself in a lot of ways. You know, it's normal to be emotional, and you just have to own up to it and be like, oh yeah, I was emotional, but what am I going to do about it? You know, you don't have to be perfect. It's okay to have those emotions and have those feelings, but you kind of have to walk yourself through those consequences, but also like take accountability. It's okay to be wrong, because emotions are not right or wrong, but you just have to take accountability for it.
Yep. And what about being reactionary in the society we currently live in, maybe being a little younger? Like, everything's at our fingertips. Things happen quickly. We have contact with people 24/7. Do you think we live in a society that's more conducive to people being reactive?
Oh, I think we live in a society that's conducive to people not having a complete thought. I think most people are quick to read a headline, but not quick to read a book. Like, they're not quick to even read an article that's like 12 paragraphs long. After the first paragraph and a half, they've moved on to the next one. So I think not just a reaction of like what comes out of my mouth, but taking the time to think, like, what could I learn from this? What I should have a complete thought, and you can't have a complete thought if you're just bouncing between headlines. Read a book.
What has that been a process for you? Is that something you adopted naturally? Like, hey, this is going to work out. Because I mean, worry is something we all do. So
Yeah.
Could you speak me through that?
Yeah, I mean, I trust a lot of the effort. I know the effort that I put into what I'm doing. And I mean, obviously, we all have bosses. We all have somebody, wanting us to perform for them. But I know at the end of the day, as long as I can hold my head high and know that I gave everything my best. I mean, sometimes you win a game, sometimes you lose a game, right? I know as long as I can come off the field, as long as I can come out of whatever situation I'm in and know that I gave everything I had, and to the best, and to me also, staying in a state of learning. Just because I've been doing what I've been doing for 29 years, whatever, doesn't mean I know everything about it. Like, I love the idea of learning new things. So I ask a lot of questions of the people around me, of myself, of am I doing enough? Is there something new I should be doing? So just constantly staying in a state of learning, I think, has been good for that. But being confident in knowing that I do learn from mistakes. I also learn from wins. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm always going to get better.
The reason that I want to share these conversations with people and want others to experience these conversations is because I want you to also get insight into this. So I'm not the only one learning, right? There are so many brilliant and awesome people all over this world. I mean, look, we do it in one neighborhood. I happen to run across 5 people on a Sunday every 2 weeks or every week. And then the amount of brilliant conversations we have in the city are unbelievable. So trying to give as many people as I can exposure to that is a huge thing that we try to do. So, and how do you balance that? Is that saying yes to every single opportunity that comes across your desk, or what does that look like in practicality in life from Monday to Monday?
It's definitely hard to do that practically, but there's totally ways to do it practically. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. I'm going to grad school, which I feel like is kind of a practical decision. But I'm going to Costa Rica for grad school, so I feel like that's like kind of a way to be practical in the sense of like furthering my career and my education, but also doing it in kind of a fun, different way.
Does YOLO kind of mean to you maybe going or breaking outside like the traditional system that's kind of set up here for young adults, right? Or is that what YOLO signifies?
100%. I feel like you should totally go against the grain. Again, like being practical with doing that, but I feel like it's always beneficial to go against the grain a little bit.
And what role does maybe risk play in that as well when you take a pivot or take a turn? Like, could you speak to that?
I think you shouldn't avoid risk. I think you shouldn't be risky to the extent of, getting yourself killed. I think you should, look both ways before you cross the street. But at the same time, it's like you got to cross that street eventually. You can't just stay in your bubble. And there is a certain amount of calculated risk that you should get used to taking, and an amount of risk that you're never going to be ready. The biggest decisions in your life, you were not fully prepared when you took them, and the things that gave you the most success were not the things that you were the most planned for. It was the things that fell in your lap, or the things that you ran into when you were making the riskiest decision in your life.
And I think are you saying in that pursuit of excellence, it's kind of something that's been set before you, and now you maybe accomplished those goals or rolled with those punches, and are you now at a point where it's determining what the next excellence in your life is?
I think so, because you have an idea, like when you're younger, you have an idea of what you think is going to be, let's just say, success. Maybe it's money, maybe it's just, winning, whatever it may be. And then as you get older, you start to realize, okay, well, if you have money, that's not always really the end game, right? I mean, so I guess on some level, I've learned that the game never really ends. It keeps going. And so you keep competing, you keep going after it. Maybe it's something new, but never stop, never think you fully arrived, I guess.
I always see it as like, oh, it's because I was insecure. Because I probably am. There are parts of me that are insecure. And I think also, like, in a time of constant connection and stimulation with social media, right? Like, you think it doesn't work, and then it's like, I'm insecure, and then it comes from a part of you where it's like, not, you want to do it. But, yeah.
It's like a normal amount of it is like somewhat healthy, because we all have that, we want to make sure we're at our best, but like it just shouldn't really control our lives, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe not be ashamed of it, because if we admit that we're not ashamed of it, we can actually start to maybe improve
building
it
a connection
and build off of it. And in your own life, kind of being on this continuous path of either learning or developing your goals, how has that kind of changed as naturally you've changed as a person, as you've gotten older? What are those inflection points, or what do you think of maybe times that you had to take a right or left where you didn't think you'd be going that way?
Sure. If you asked me since I was 5, I would have told you I wanted to be a surgeon. And my freshman year of college, fully pivoted. Went to pre-med, wasn't for me, wasn't the people for me. Pivoted to engineering, and now I'm opening my own prosthetic design company. So doing that for the next couple of years, that's the dream right now. And, not so much failure in my way, just so much as a lot of life lessons that taught me that wasn't the direction I was supposed to be in. I think you should listen to your gut a lot of the time. And in terms of that pivoting, and in terms of like what I wanted to do, life showed me the right way, and I'm just following the path that's ahead of me right now.
Yeah, and I guess on that point, do you think that being emotional or vulnerable or trying to explore those, right, like you say, is it not united between us as people? Like, does it almost become, I see it like as vulnerability is often linked with like insecurity, and how do we battle? And I'm speaking from a male perspective, so I think the female perspective might be different, but what do you think about that whole realm? Because I think about that quite a lot myself, and how to guide that right, or and even just how do we even just regulate emotions in a way where we're coming with an open mind, or maybe we're not trauma dumping, or like all these patterns that we seem to do as humans. Like, what are your thoughts around that, or how we as collectively can work on this?
Insecurity is super natural it's natural. It's a part of who we are. We're just always conscious of the people around us. It's part of how we behave as humans, and like how we perceive the people around us. And it's kind of how we become a community in a way, how we appreciate how people see us, and we appreciate like seeing other people, and we kind of always want to try to get the best foot forward, but we kind of need to be forgiving to ourselves and to others. Like, it's kind of the same way, like, catch yourself when you're judging someone, catch yourself when you're being like, oh, like really harsh on someone. Just realize, like, well, they can also be like somewhat insecure about this. And I don't think insecurity is as much of a weakness as we claim for it to be, as much as it's just like a genuinely like natural way of life. And because we're often told and projected this idealism of like what life should look like and how we should be and how we should look like, when it's not real. So I think as far as like male centered like insecurity, it's a really big problem, and it causes a lot of issues. And I think that's why, like, embrace your insecurity in a way to be like, well, I'm not perfect, no one is. And project that onto other people,
What ways are you hoping that it's going to benefit you, or have you seen it already benefit you in your life?
Oh, I've totally seen it benefit me. I feel like I'm not stuck. I feel like I'm free. I feel like I'm able to do whatever I want, but at the same time benefiting from it. And I guess I will say, this is totally coming from like a place of privilege. Like, so many people don't have the opportunity to live life exactly how they want to. So if you're in a position of privilege to do so, I feel like you have to do it. You have to, because other people would love to have the same opportunities that you do. So yeah, I feel like if you're in that position, you should definitely take advantage.
If you could like, follow, share, and maybe comment a question that you would want me to ask and those conversations that you would want to hear. Again, thank you for spending some time with me on this beautiful Sunday from Boston, Massachusetts. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.